welcome to Patriot Weekly. Once again, we're broadcasting from right where we ought to be broadcasting, and that's with our title sponsor, Brantley Bank. Doug Amos here with Granger Shook, the head coach of the Patriots. How you doing tonight, bud?
I'm well, Doug. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. Big win for your team. You know, you don't have to draw pictures of how it all went. You just put it in the loss column or the win column.
That's right.
And you really survived probably a game where you weren't at your best, but your team found a way to win, and there's something good to be said about that.
There is. You know, we aren't clicking on all cylinders right now, and I think there's several reasons why that is. But again, we came out hot. I mean, we were up 21-0 in the first quarter, and then we started having some self-inflicted wounds, so to speak. You know, I think Coach White at Percy Julian does a great job with those guys. Every time you play an athletic team, you know, if you keep them in the game, or they make plays to stay in the game, which is what happened, you know it can be a long night. But our boys, it was basically about a tale of two quarters.
Because they actually took the lead, I believe.
They did. They did. They took the lead late in the third quarter, and so it was a huge momentum swing. And I was very proud of how our boys responded to the momentum swing. We were able to make some plays at the end to really seal the deal. But again, my hat's off to Coach White and his staff. They did a really good job. But we had Mason Hussey got in the end zone for the first time. Jordan Holmes had a big interception. Casey Myers was able to get some touchdown passes early in the game to get his confidence going. Levi Kelly had a really good game as well. Very proud and thankful, Braylon Outlaw is back playing for us this week. He made a lot of good plays on defense. And I thought there were moments in the game where our O-line really did a good job of establishing the line of scrimmage. Wasn't as consistent as I was wanting, but they got two really good defensive linemen who were playing on Saturdays. And those guys had a lot to do with it, but we were able to wear them down and come out on top.
Just for informational purposes only, Percy Julian was Robert E. Lee. That was the team that you guys played.
Yes.
And, so they, that's a program. It may have been under a different name, but it's used to winning a lot of football games.
Right.
And I'm glad to hear Coach White doing a good job over there.
Yes.
And your team won despite making an alarming amount of turnovers,
yes.
right? You
yes.
found a way
yes.
to win.
Yes, we gave, Percy Julian had 5 extra possessions.
Wow.
And so
not many teams win, Coach. In fact, I've heard many coaches say you turn it over 5 times and you're not going to
yes.
win.
Yes, and so we were able to find a way. Again, it wasn't pretty. I'll be the first to admit, I've got to do a better job of preparing our boys to be successful. But again, our young men got out on top, which showed that they executed our game plan at a high level in the first quarter. We may have let off the gas, we may not have. I think some of our boys would admit that we saw we were up, and I think there may have been for a few of our guys maybe a let up, but Percy Julian took advantage of it. And then we had some more turnovers, and we look up and they're ahead. And again, it wasn't how we would have wanted it to happen, but the end result, every win is big, but every region win is huge.
Oh gosh!
And so we are 3-0 in our region. We still have all of our goals are still on the table, and again, we have a great opportunity this week to get better against a very good Opelika team, and our boys are excited for that opportunity.
More about Opelika a little bit later in the program. By the way, in just a little while, we'll hear from Desmond Harbor, defensive lineman, one of your seniors, and also from Patrick Carter, who plays on both sides of the ball at times, in the secondary and as a running back.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk to them about it, but I want to hear it from you first. When you got to practice this week, when you got them back, what were some of the lessons you talked to them about in looking back to make sure that you don't repeat them?
Yes, well, last week we were really focusing on penalties. We had given our opponents a lot of yards and penalties for some issues that were just unnecessary. Well, this week we won the penalty margin by a big margin. I think we had 8 still too many. But again, it's a lot better than what it was the previous week. So again, I was happy for that. But the turnover margin was something that we addressed on Sunday, and it's something that our boys came in motivated. And again, we've stressed that on offense. We've stressed it in special teams this week, and hopefully we can take advantage of some opportunities this Friday.
Is that a concentration issue? Is it a losing focus issue, which is the same thing as concentration? I guess what's the primary reason we turn the ball? Any football team turns the ball over.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with focus and concentration. I think it has a lot to do with maybe some habits we're trying to address. I think we have some really good senior leadership, which is here with Des and Patrick, and but there's some young talent on our team that is earning playing time, and so I think when you get in, when you have some young talent playing at the 6A level, I think there may be some focus. I think there may be some habits we're still trying to reinforce.
Things you could do in the middle school team, you can't do on the varsity team.
Yes, and so there was guys playing on Monday nights last year that are now playing on Friday nights, and so again, but it's week 6. We're getting to that point in the season to where these guys aren't sophomores anymore. These guys aren't first-year starters anymore. We should be getting to the point in the season to where those issues aren't happening, and so I've challenged them. Our staff's challenged them. I think we'll have a much better product this week on the field, and again, I'm looking forward, and I know they are to it as well.
I know you and I have been together a good while now doing this, and I know you strategically schedule when you can. This really seems to be a perfect time to be playing a game against a real quality 7A team, but giving you a break from region play just to kind of, again, get a measuring stick game in there, because you've played Enterprise.
Yep.
I believe Enterprise and Opelika are in the same region.
That's right.
So it'll be kind of a good measuring stick, will it not, to
Absolutely.
see where you've improved and where you need to concentrate for those last 3 region games.
Absolutely. See, Enterprise and Opelika are very similar. They have a lot of senior leadership on their team, especially up front on both sides of the ball. They have new quarterbacks, but their quarterbacks are older players, and they have a really good running back, and so they have speed on the perimeter. And so again, us playing Enterprise early in week 2 compared to playing Opelika week 6, hopefully, Pike Road, our fans, our program, we will see a visible difference in how we perform against a very good 7A opponent who will be equivalent to, a deep playoff opponent.
I know these guys are friends of yours, but a little Montgomery football trivia for you. The Opelika used to be coached by Brian Blackman, who played at Robert E. Lee in Montgomery, and Enterprise is currently coached by Ben Blackman, his little brother. I think both those guys are friends of yours.
They are.
And it's a good program to measure yourself against, because although Brian's moved on, I know Opelika has kept the ball rolling, and you find out how good you are against a team like that, and it should answer a lot of questions for
Absolutely. You. Again, they are an established program in 7A. They've been 7A for a long time, and we are still young, so to speak, new kids on the block in 6A. But again, I tell our boys all the time, our talent, the way we practice, our boys, if we're on and we're focused and we're dialed in and we're playing Pike Road football, we can play, and we can play with anybody on our schedule.
Because you played so many road games early, you got this one at home, and then 2 of your last 3 region games are at home, right?
Yes.
And then you close your season at home against another non-region opponent, in Charles Henderson, I believe. Is that a good thing? You kind of found what you were made of in those opening 3, and you're playing in front of the home crowd a lot in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be great. Each team's different, each season's different, each team has their own identity, but I do think this schedule fits our boys very well. And so again, I think that this our region draw, having our bye week where it is, is kind of out of our control, but we were able to make the most out of it, and get some really quality non-region opponents that can help us not only compete at a higher level in the region, but can also hopefully get us ready for the playoffs.
I mean, I would say you've got as tough a non-region schedule as any team could possibly have.
Yes,
3 of the 4 are 7A teams.
Yes, and all 3 of them are going to be playoff teams.
Yeah, maybe multiple round playoff teams.
Yes. So.
And I'm glad it's you, not me. But I hope your boys are seeing the improvement there. Talk about some of the kids against Percy Julian that stood out, and a little bit about Desmond and Patrick as well.
Again, I thought Desmond did a great job up front on the offensive line. Him and Trey and Terrion and Z, those senior O linemen did a great job. I thought we picked up the pressure extremely well. Thought Kaysen had good time in the pocket, especially early in the game. We were able to connect on three completions to help get us in the end zone. Mason Hussey got in the end zone for the first time this season. Really proud of him and his efforts. Again, I thought Omari Smith did a great job of making sure that he did what he was supposed to do at wide receiver. Levi Kelly is getting better each and every week, and Levi's going to provide some depth out at wide receiver. JaMichael Jones, of course, did a good job.
So I was going to ask you about, did he get triple digits again?
Not this week, but again, Patrick did a good job of coming in and spelling him.
Good.
Kaysen carried the ball. I think Kaysen had 48 yards of rushing as well. So I mean, we still had over 150 yards rushing, but it was really about 3 guys spread out doing it. So again, it's going to be a long season. Trying to make sure JaMichael and Pat, and Kaysen are hitting their stride at the right time. Every hit in 6A, you feel it.
Yeah, you feel it. And if you got a guy keep it running at 90% of the times, when you get in the game 11, 12, 13, if you're planning on going deep in the playoffs, then that guy's going to be far from fresh. It's great to have some guys to lean back on.
Exactly, and so that's kind of our game plan. That was our game plan last week against Percy. Defensively, again, I thought Gavin did a great job up front, D-line wise. I thought having Braylon Outlaw back was big for us. Patrick did a great job at corner for us. We had Jordan Holmes had another interception along with Omari Smith. So again, there were several guys making plays for us on both sides of the ball. And again, it was fun to watch them compete when we were clicking, for sure.
You and I'll visit a little bit later in the program about Opelika, what you've seen on film this week, and we'll go over that. My main concern now is to ask if my man Desmond, who I've met before, is going to crush my hand like Gavin did. That's not going to be the case.
He has the ability.
He has the ability. Well, I'm going to be really nice to Desmond Harper, and he will join us right after this as Patriot Weekly rolls on. Beautiful lobby of Brantley Bank. My buddy Jay Kaiser inviting us in again this week. We love being here, and we obviously appreciate their support of Pike Road School and Pike Road's football team. Want to welcome in Desmond Harper. We've already shook hands. We may not be doing it again. I do need to do a little typing tomorrow, but good to see you, Desmond, coming off a big win for Pike Road over Percy Julian. Coach talked about 21-point lead, came early, then maybe a little let down. They got back in the game, but you guys answered the bell. When you fell behind, you took up the burden and made it work. Talk a little bit about the emotions of that game, leading big, falling behind, but then finding a way.
It was a good experience. I felt like we came out hot and ready, and we knew the game plan and all that. And we came out, we played fast, we played with good tempo, and we got up big 21-0. But then I felt like we got too hyped, and we felt like it was over, and we didn't finish the game. Well, we finished the game how we wanted it, but we didn't.
Middle part.
Yeah. We didn't keep going how we needed to because it could have been bigger, and we just let down defensive-wise and offensive-wise.
So this week at practice, what's been the mindset of the senior class? We'll talk to Patrick in a little while. you guys are seniors. It's kind of falls on y'all's shoulders in the locker room, the responsibility of making sure that those kind of letdowns don't happen again. So talk about what it's been like this week.
It's been like the same in the past weeks. We just keep motivating each other, keep pushing each other. We keep coming every day working, playing fast with good tempo, and we just doing what we have to do.
Desmond, every week that we have guys on, we've had mostly seniors on every week, and all of them have talked about the leadership responsibility. And I'm sure you developed a lot of that by the senior class that was last year. And you as an underclassman, you and Patrick, learned from them, and now it's y'all's responsibility to lead and to make sure that the younger guys on this team are ready to take the mantle, right? Is that a responsibility that you embrace and like to have?
Yes, because we have a lot of young offensive linemen like 9th and 10th grade who are just now learning like the game, and we try to teach them because once we leave, it's their time to pick up what we left off and just keep building the program up.
So tell me about you. What exactly do you want to do once you graduate from Pike Road? Do you want to continue going to school, or what exactly do you have planned for Desmond Harbor? Do you want to play football,
Yes.
keeping on going?
Yes, sir.
And are schools already in contact with you, or how does that work?
I have one offer from D3 called Swanee in Tennessee.
I'm very familiar.
Yeah, and I have another bunch of schools looking at me.
Well, that's awesome. So obviously the grades are important. They look at that too, as you know. And then they look at, how you perform and then how you respond to adversity. I think every college coach wants to see a kid when their team's successful, and to see a young man when their team may be struggling, just to see how your body language. I know a ton of coaches. I'm going to say the same thing to Patrick. I know a ton of coaches that body language speaks volumes to them. And I'm sure Granger, who played college football, knows that and has expressed that to y'all, that representing Pike Road, but also representing your family, that body language is important to college recruiters.
Yes, sir, yes.
We wish you the best of luck, bud. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Go get them. What do you think about Opelika? You seen them on film?
Yes, sir.
They're pretty good. You gonna get them?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's my man, Desmond Harbor. We're back with his buddy, Patrick Carter, right after this. All right, welcome back to Brantley Bank. It's Patriot Weekly. Great to have you along, and we want to welcome in Patrick Carter now. He is a senior cornerback and running back. Plays on both sides of the ball. Coach is standing right over there, but he's not listening. So I wanted to ask you, which do you like playing more? Do you like being on the offensive side of the ball more, or the defensive side of the ball?
Well, of course, I've been playing running back all my life, but once I got a taste for the position, I really liked it. I think it's a very tough position, but I just do whatever I can to help my team.
Sure. And Coach you heard us talk in an earlier segment about providing depth at that position. That's a big thing, providing depth at the running back position. So obviously, when you're in the game at that position, you want to be able to perform. You want to be able to lift the team and make big plays.
Right.
So talk about what happened Friday night. Percy Julian's in there, big lead, 21-0. You face adversity. Everybody's going to face it. You guys faced it and beat it and ended up winning the game. What do you think winning the game like that, instead of maybe coasting with the 21-point lead and just stretching it on out? I tend to think that you learn more from the games when you're challenged and facing adversity. Talk to me about that.
Just like Dad said, we came out, we started fast, started hot. We had great tempo. I just felt like the game needed to slow back down for us. Just like he told us, we just got too hyped. We needed to slow down, and we need to get back to playing our game of football. We started to let them, we started playing at their level of football. I just feel like whenever we play our level of football, it's just like Coach said, it's just like there is no doubt in my mind that we can do whatever.
Okay, so this is your third 7A team you'll have played already.
Right.
You played Prattville, you played Enterprise, and now you're going to play Opelika.
Right.
I tend to believe, could be wrong, but I tend to think that Opelika is the best of the three.
Right, they are a very good football team.
And
no doubt.
so they provide a challenge for you guys. What needs to happen for Pike Road to get it done at home Friday night?
Honestly, we just need to, just like I said, we need to play our game. We need to come together as a team.
Limit those mistakes,
limit
right?
penalties.
Yeah.
Penalties. Those. I feel like those. It's the mental mistakes for us. It's not even about. It's just the small things that
Sure.
that we
Correctable things.
Yeah. We tend to with us we tend to hurt ourselves. It's not about our opponent. It's about Pike Road playing Pike Road. I just feel like
See, I love that.
I just feel like when we do all the little things right, it's just
you're going to be a tough out for
Right.
anybody, right?
Right.
And when the team realizes that, and playing these 7A teams is going to get you further down the road.
Right.
It sets up the next three, two of them at home, region games. You've got the region championship on your racket, so to speak. You're in control of your own destiny. You win them, and you guys are assured of hosting at least one
Right.
playoff game. So first things first, though, improving against Opelika, and then head these next three off and get it done, right?
Yes, sir.
I tell you what, I'm pulling for this dude. This is what I want you to do for me now. The next time that you make big plays in a game, I want you to go to your coach and say, Mr. Doug said that you would allow me to go on the scoreboard show on Friday night.
Yes, sir.
When that happens. And so you get him there with you. And when you determine that, yes, you made impactful plays in the game, we'll have Patrick and or Desmond on the scoreboard show. You good with that, Coach?
I am good with it.
All right, buddy. Great seeing you, man. Go get him.
Appreciate you.
You bet. That's Patrick Carter. We're back with the coach to wrap things up on this week's edition of Patriot Weekly. So back for more Patriot Weekly as Coach Shook and I start heading for home. Really want to thank Brantley Bank for not
Absolutely.
just opening their doors for us. This is the best place we've ever done the show, but also for their support of your program.
Absolutely. Ray and his group, took a chance to come out here on Pike Road, and they're investing into the community. And again, they're investing into the school system. And again, just very thankful and grateful that for all they do, not just monetarily, but also just being here and doing the cookouts in Pike Road and just being at the games and showing their support in various ways.
Really excited
Yes.
about that. So this isn't my first rodeo, folks. I've been around a long time. And I know a lot of high school coaches, when they're scheduling non-region games, do their best to get W's.
Right.
They want that record, even if the region record's 3-3, they want it to be 7-3 overall, and so they schedule down to assure that they're going to get some W's when they're not in region games. That's not the Granger Shook way. You want your team to be sharp and to be sharpened by really quality, scheduled up kind of teams. So talk about that philosophy. Said in the first year we've talked about it.
Right.
Said in the first time we've talked about it this year. But I do think it's a point well made. Your philosophy about getting your team as good as it can be once we get to the end of October.
Absolutely. And again, not just athletically are these teams, 7A caliber playoff teams, but they also have elite staffs. I mean, you mentioned, Prattville is going to be a playoff team in their respective region. J.B. Wallace went out and he got some very good coordinators this year, and they are you can see the product on the field this year. Ben speaks for himself. I think Ben is going for his 150th win.
Is that right?
Yes, 150th win, and you don't just stumble
Onto that. No,
you don't. And so his staff is second to none. Brian Moore at Opelika. I mean, he is going to be at that level really, really soon. And so again, not only athletically do they pose issues, but I mean their staffs, they're going to make in-game adjustments, and they're going to be able to make halftime adjustments, and they're going to be able to make adjustments between series. And so they coach the little things the right way, and they coach special teams. And so again, this is not just a ragtag group. And again, our staff is going to be challenged. Our boys are going to be challenged. But I mean, that's why you do what you do. Again, I tell our boys that, you know, heck, I want 4-quarter games. I want overtime games. Those are more fun than the 42-0 games, to where, you know, you're getting your quarterback out or you're getting your running back out in the third quarter and it's a running clock. I mean, those games aren't fun. You know, you want games to where the fans are trying to get you engaged yeah. And the band's loud and the music's bumping and everything's going, and it's a last
like
second.
Those playoff games that you had at your place last year.
Exactly, and so that is what we are trying to get in these non-region games, and I think that's what we're going to have this Friday night again. And again, I look forward to the opportunity to not only make our players better, but hopefully make our staff better in the process.
What's their style of play? What will you need to do to be successful, you as a team, on Friday night?
We're going to have to limit mistakes. I mean, we talked about penalties. We've talked about turnovers. We are not going to be able to play 2 quarters well and 2 quarters not as well. We're going to have to play consistent football for 4 quarters. Their style of play is very physical. I mean, they are going to be, it's going to be a very physical game on both sides of the ball. You know, I talked to Ben, Blackman Enterprise, after we played them, talked to him that Saturday. He said, "Coach, our boys are beat up." I said, "Well, you know, it makes me feel a little better. Our boys are pretty beat up too." So it's going to be a physical ball game. You know, on both sides of the ball, they have SEC caliber players on both sides, and it's going to be a great challenge for our boys. They have a receiver who's going to be as fast as we've seen all year. They're going to have the O-line that's going to be as big as we've seen. Their running back isn't maybe as big as what we saw the past couple of weeks, but he runs it extremely hard. He's still 200 pounds, and he can take it the distance. Defensively, their front 4 are going to be as good as we've seen, you know, since week 2. Their linebackers flow well. They are run first players. Their corners are long, and their safeties can not only run the alley, but they can also stay on top. And so their secondary does a great job of keeping everything in front of them. You know, there's some things that we're going to try to take advantage of if we can. I think we have a great plan on both sides of the ball. You know, they are a run-heavy team offensively. I think, you know, it's a 75-25 run to pass. You know, and so we'll see. A lot of coaches in these non-region games, mid to late year, a lot of times some coaches will choose to break tendencies. You know, but some coaches choose just to reinforce the tendencies before they get in that late region run, if that makes sense. You know, and so
are you more of a reinforcer or a breaker?
I think we're going to try to do what it takes to win. You know what I mean? We do know that we have some heavy tendencies. You know, we probably have some tweaks here and there to that. But again, it's one of those things to where if they stay true to who they are, which I think they will, and well-coached teams do, stay true to who they are. You know, I think, you know, I like our plan. So
okay, so I get the impression that there's going to be a lot of guys playing on Saturday on that field on both sides.
Yes.
On Friday night.
Yes.
I was having a discussion there with one of your players, and I don't know if you heard what I was telling Desmond, but I know a lot of people that coach college, and not just football, but basketball and other things. And one of the things these coaches look at is body language.
Right.
That they want to see your body language when things are going well compared to when things may not be going well. You having played college football, do you talk to your kids that you think are getting letters or getting looks by the colleges, that it's not just about what you do while the clock's running, that these people are going to look at?
Absolutely. We talk about positive self-talk all the time, and you know, we can tell as coaches very quickly if a young man is telling himself positive things or negative things based off how he's carrying himself.
Yeah.
And so we discuss that with all of our players. And, you know, it's one of those things that we talk about daily. How are we talking to ourselves? How are the leaders on our team? How are we holding ourselves accountable? We got to hold ourselves accountable before we can hold somebody else accountable. And so those are things that we preach to these young men, you know, and sometimes you think they're listening, sometimes you're not sure, but there will be something each and every week to where you can hear somebody saying something to a teammate and you're like, they are listening. And so hopefully that'll get contagious. Hopefully that'll grow. Hopefully it'll snowball in a positive way to where, you know, the issues we had week 5, we aren't having week 8, or we're not having them week 9. And so that is my goal, you know, as the head coach, is to hopefully there is an obvious growth in our program, not only X's and O's and schematically, but how our boys compete and how we handle ourselves and the discipline on the team, on the field on Friday nights.
As far as higher classifications go, there won't be a better game in the River Region than 7A Opelika at 6A Pike Road. Friday night, 7 o'clock at your football complex over there. You can get tickets at gofan.com, or you can pay at the gate. I suspect, and here's the great deal. Now, on Wednesday and Thursday, it's going to be raining, okay? And it did rain, because when this shows. But Friday, it's breaking at about lunchtime, and the temperature's dropping. The sun's even going to poke out before it goes back behind the hills. It's going to be the best night that you've had thus far, Coach, for fans to come out and watch some great high school football.
And our administration is being intentional. We're opening up the fields, the softball and baseball fields behind, and we're going to have kind of like a little kid zone.
No, I love it.
So our kids can
it's
go
going to
out
be a
there
big crowd, I think,
with bouncy houses and different games for them to play. You know what I mean? And so we'll have it monitored. We'll have supervision out there while our parents can go back and forth and watch the game.
I love it.
So it's going to be a really neat environment.
That's a great thing to do. Is that a new thing you're trying to do? That's awesome.
Just trying to get our elementary parents and elementary kids out there at the game and watch the game.
Something tells me that won't be the last time you do it.
Absolutely.
Good luck Friday night.
Appreciate you.
Opelika and Pike Road, 7 o'clock Friday night. Don't miss it. Make sure you're there to pull on the Pike Road Patriots. For Granger Shook, I'm Doug Amos, and thanks to Ray Kaiser again here at Brantley Bank. We'll talk to you next week on Patriot Weekly.